Here we go. Let's get it. I Oswald Cruikshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Haven't done a book review in a while, but just Sunday, 2 days ago from this recording this Tuesday, February 27, 2024, and Sunday after I wrapped the live stream, I had an opportunity to finish a book that I started a while ago. The title of this book is Where Tomorrows Aren't Promised by Carmelo Anthony. And if you've really been a long time follower of my work, you know that I would do weekly book reviews because I read a lot of books. And there was a point when I really started back a couple years ago what I would read a book and I would go on camera, go on video and talk about the book and what it was all about and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't done that in a while. It's kind of taken the place, current events and a lot of the things I've been doing when it comes to just the work in general I do has taken over those videos. So figured, it's a good time to bring it back because this book really resonated with me. Like they all do. All the books I read resonate with me on some level. But Where Tomorrows Aren't Promised is pretty much the memoir of Carmelo Anthony, the great Carmelo Anthony, who recently officially retired from the NBA this past season. NBA superstar who officially retired this past season. And the reason it took me so long to get through it is because it was in the middle. And this is why this book is kind of a special book for me. All right, I'm gonna give you some backstory when it comes to the ways I relate to Carmelo Anthony. Obviously not as a player, I was not nearly the athlete he was, but in terms of just growing up in Maryland and going through the Catholic school process, dealing with being black in a Catholic school and being the guy that's just looked at as an athlete and is not really being respected for his intellect, his mind, and all those kinds of things. There was so many triggers in that book that I have to speak on. All right, so firstly, I featured Carmelo Anthony in my second book titled Make Your Move because I was talking about his jab step and how that jab step relates to boxing. And I was pretty much informing or trying to convince basketball players that it's important to take up some boxing lessons so you can work that jab step. So I use his jab step as an example because it's a dynamite jab step, probably one of the best I've ever seen, right? And then my latest book, which is titled Transferring D1, I started writing that book as I was reading Carmelo Anthony's book, which, like I said, is titled Where Tomorrows Aren't Promised. So as I'm reading it, I'm putting Carmelo Anthony's book down and I'm proofreading mine. And the title of my book is Transferring D1. So a lot of where I'm talking about NIL, where I'm talking about the transfer portal, where I'm talking about the journey of these great athletes. And as I'm reading through mine and I'm reading through his, there's just so many different things in terms of synergy, so many similarities when it comes to my story and his story. Again, Catholic school, figuring out how to make it in that Catholic school environment where you could tell that the teachers and the people, the administrators really didn't want you there because they just looked at you as an athlete, right? So as far as the book review, as far as what I took away from the book, it's so important, all right? It's so very important that we understand the power of our story, all right? Understand the power of our story and understand every single time you get through a struggle, every single time you get through something that was difficult, you are opening doors for other people, all right? Let me give you a couple of examples here. As hard as it may be to believe, even though we grew up in the Maryland area, I didn't know who Carmelo Anthony was until he won that championship at Syracuse. I did not know that he was growing up right in my backyard, that if I wanted to, I can go watch him play because I was so locked in and gelled into all the football stuff I was doing. I was never really into the basketball politics or into the basketball world. Like, I know if I was serious about basketball, I know for a fact I would have heard about Carmelo Anthony. I probably would have went to see him play when I was younger. I probably would have asked my parents to go see him play and all that. But again, I was a football guy. I never really, dived into it. I didn't really know who he was until that night, actually, that they won the championship at Syracuse, right? So for the longest time, I thought that he had spent all 4 years at Oak Hill Academy. when that was not the case. In fact, he did not want to go to Oak Hill Academy at all. He went to Towson Catholic initially and was dealing with a lot of the same things that I was dealing with when I went to get counsel, in terms of, teachers not wanting you there. Okay, you got to tuck your shirt in. Got just a bunch of politics where it just seemed like every opportunity they got, they were just simply attacking him. And he finally left Towson Catholic and was planning on going to a public school in the Baltimore area, in the roughly, he grew up in the rough parts of Baltimore. And he was like, they made sure, they told him, the Syracuse coaches told him, look, you're not going. We need you at Oak Hill. We don't want you in Baltimore. Because by the time he was a junior when he committed to Syracuse. So the Syracuse coaches told him, look, we don't want you in Baltimore. We want you at Oak Hill Academy, where we know the environment, where we know you're going to be safe. We don't want you out there in Baltimore because you're going to be the face of our program in a few years, right? And the fact that he was forced to go and he made him went, it opens doors, and it helps young athletes now understand the power of, listen, getting away from situations in which you are going to put yourself in harm. And his story, again, he was one of the first folks to actually do that. And look at what it's become. Look at what high school athletics has become since then, right? These are the things that you have to understand. Like, whatever you're struggling, whatever it is you may be going through now, understand that it's going to be helping somebody else get through a similar situation, and you get the opportunity to be the catalyst, so to speak, be the one that leads a new generation if you have the right mindset and if you just get through whatever situation you may get through. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that, going to a public school is a bad thing, or I'm not saying that being in the inner city is a bad thing or anything like that. I'm just explaining to you, every single person has their story, and it's on you to really tap into a story, tap into a talent, tap into a situation in which your story is going to help somebody else. And I'll close you out with this, actually, because the individual that he wrote the book with, his name is escaping me right now, but I know I think it was Watkins. The last name was Watkins or whatever. But I was, as I was getting ready for this and I was listening to some of the commentary from his co-writer, the co-writer was basically talking about how, the opportunity for him to become a writer was made because of Carmelo Anthony. And when he got into writing, when he first got into writing, he didn't have a whole lot of connections in the writing world. He didn't see a lot of material that was about athletes and how their grind and what they went through and their story and all that kind of stuff. So he saw this as an opportunity to, maybe go to some folks in jail and maybe do this and make sure he teaches writing as an actual career path and all that kind of stuff. And that's what it's all about, guys. These are the things that it's all about when it comes to how we progress and how we get better. All right. I'll have a lot more on this. Just stay tuned. Main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, MakeYaMove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and your self-development needs. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.